what I liked most about video is that it eliminated me having to do all the stuff I hated.
Welcome to the Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Bello. Today, I've got Mike Cuevas on the show, the real estate marketing dude. Mike, how are you, man?
What's up, Chris? Thank you for having me, man. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you and to connect again. I know sometimes we do a lot of podcast swaps in our industry, or at least in the podcasting space. And so we get to see the other side of the story. So I'd love to just pick your brain and talk all things video marketing today, because you are the video guy.
Let's do it. I'm down.
Awesome. So first, can you tell us a little bit about when you started your current thing? I heard it on one of your podcasts when you're like, that's when I came up with the brand name. That's how I went all in. But I always love to hear the origin story.
So I'll give you the sort of how it all sort of came about. I started in real estate. I got licensed in 2002 after I graduated college.
Cool.
Went into real estate, and I learned early on that it was just a giant popularity contest. And what happened is my best friend forgot I was in real estate and referred a girl that was much better looking than I am, according to him, a $400,000 listing. And I was like, shit, dude, that's $10,000. Like, that's a lot of money. And I cried that night. And I went home, I was 22 years old. And I'm like, holy crap, if my best friend doesn't know what I do for a living, then how's everyone else going to? And back then, video wasn't around. Mm-hmm. But I knew early on that I hated the cold calling. I hated the prospecting. It didn't mean I wasn't not meant for real estate, but I had to do something to keep me in front of people. I had to stay in front of people consistently. And I didn't know what to do. Like at that time, I started using a bunch of direct mail, but I knew you had to be different. Right.
Yep.
And at that time, I branded myself Chi-Town Mike. I was 22 years old. I had spiky hair, and I went all in on new construction because that was the buzzword at that time.
Okay.
And ever since then, I've rebranded or reshifted my focus 3 or 4 times throughout my career, but it was always about doing something differently, being different, standing out. And it wasn't until 2012, 2013 when video actually came about, and boom, we were right on that train. And we used to do the flip phone videos. Like if you remember those little, they're so cheap, right? But no one else was doing it. And it was just a way to generate a bunch of buzz or attention around your brand. And about then 2012, 2013, and we just started doing videos on all of our listings. And I started doing it. And then 3 years ago, we created Real Estate Marketing Dude as a video marketing company.
Very
so
cool.
It was just through trial and error. But if you don't like prospecting, doesn't mean real estate's not for you. It just means that you need to figure out what will work for you. And I always thought that I know that video is the number one way to stay on top of mind with people, because it's the most impactful form of communication and marketing that exists, which makes it very advantageous to utilize it for nurturing relationships within your life and staying in front of people that you already know.
100%. And then just the technology too. It's so much easier to do a quick Zoom call or send a video message over text or whatever. Or there's Loom, there's BombBomb, right? There's so many different options out there. And it sounds like you were at the leading edge. You're kind of like, you reminded me of like the Gary V vibes. Like you were picking it up before anyone else was in terms of the flip phone videos and jumping on things before they became really popular. Would you kind of consider yourself to be kind of cutting edge, always at the forefront?
Yeah. My whole career. Been doing that. I always look to see what the next trend is, and I jump on that because I like doing everything opposite from what everyone else is doing.
Right.
And that's what I like about video. It's the how, it's not the what that people remember. That's the key.
Yeah. And it's a lot more memorable in terms of a world of cold calls and text messages and even voice messages. A video really stands out, shows that you're a real person. They can refer back to it. They can forward it. There's so many different tracking metrics. So you started doing a lot of direct mail, video, all of that, flip phone videos. What has been your favorite thing so far? I mean, I know you said video clearly, but has there been like a format or a tool, anything in particular that you love most, at least as of 2022?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't love anything about doing video. Nobody wants to get up and do a video. I do it because I have to,
right?
Much like other people. So I don't think anyone let's go do a video today.
Let's record 5 videos.
Let's go record 5 videos like that. I'm sorry. That's just not something I'm going to want to do every day, but I like doing video, but it's not something that I would spend the rest of my life doing if I didn't have to do it to make money.
Yeah.
So, it's work, guys. At the end of the day, it's work. And you could look at it in a couple of different ways. Is what I like most about video is that it eliminated me having to do all the stuff I hated. So it wasn't so much about like the technology is going to evolve and whatnot, but we have a cell phone in our pockets, which works fine. So everything I do is with the cell phone still.
Cool.
But what I got excited wasn't so much about the technology, it was because of what video allowed me not to have to do or rely on.
I love that.
Was more of the thing to it. So I don't get excited about doing video. I get excited that when I do video, I don't have to do all the other crap that I hate doing.
Exactly. That's exactly right. I love that you mentioned that it is work, because it's not like we all jump out of bed excited to make videos. And I mean, a lot of times people talk about passive income, and really even the people claiming the passive income stuff, like they're putting in quite a bit of effort in terms of content creation, typing out blog posts, at least speaking on stages, right? All of that's work. It may be more in alignment with what we want to do. And that's kind of how I picked my college degree. Just funny story. Like I thought of all the things I didn't want to do and I picked something else, right? So it sounds like video for you is that thing that helps you not do the cold calling, the open houses, all those other things that you're like, man, I don't think that's for me. Right.
Yep. It's the human side of your business. Like nobody does business with a robot. Everyone does business with a human being. And the more content you have, the more human you become.
100%
is all it is.
So what's a good place for someone to start? Maybe someone's like, I don't like how I look. I don't want to have to get ready. They've got all the excuses you probably have heard. Where does someone begin in terms of, I got to start putting out more video?
Well, first realize that the videos aren't about you. You're not that cool. And like, you're not that important. I mean, that's just the reality of it. If I started to like, and you won't last, right? Like if my whole video strategy revolved around me, like who wants to do that? Like, Chris, do you want to go out and just do a bunch of videos all about you? Let's talk about how awesome you are all day long, right? And that's the problem that people have, is they just don't know what to do on video. So I believe that the best way to get on video is to become a really good storyteller.
I love that.
And create content that reminds people what you do for a living and demonstrates your expertise. So it's not so much of you getting on a soapbox and being like, here's what you need to do and why you need to do it, but more of like, here, let me show you what someone else did, and here's what you should know about it. Exactly. There's a difference in approaching it that way. It's like this podcast is not, we're not selling our stuff on this podcast, but obviously we both have something to sell. We're doing it in a way of adding value that we both enjoy doing.
Right. Very cool. So it's a different dynamic in terms of leading with value. If people resonate with what we're saying, they're going to go to our websites, they're going to get on our email list, that kind of thing, instead of us saying, hey, you guys should buy this. I hear it sometimes in podcasts where people are pitching it nonstop, right?
So if I was marketing real estate marketing dude to a bunch of strangers, it is leading with value. But for most real estate agents, it's leading with consistency, because no one gives a shit about what the hell you're talking about on video, but it doesn't mean you stop talking.
Exactly.
So for a real estate agent or a lender, the strategy is a little bit different, because we're not creating videos. It's not even so much to even add value as much as to stay relevant. Just naturally, the videos you create will add value, because if you're not, you're just selling your stuff.
Yeah.
So it's more so of you have to stay in front of people. The example I always use is like, if you stop talking to your wife, what the hell's going to happen in 30 days if you guys don't talk for 30 days? She can cheat on you, right?
It's not going to be good.
Well, every day realtors get cheated on by their database. And it's not another reason. It's not because they're a jerk or anything like that. It's like, you stop talking to your significant other. Your significant other is your list of Facebook friends, your email list, your friends, your family, your aunts, your uncles. That's your list of friends. That's your significant other, guys. So if you want them to continue to love on you with referrals, you have to keep the conversation going. You can't just disappear the day after the closing table, because that nobody runs a successful business doing that.
Absolutely. That's true for anybody in sales of any kind, right? You've got to stay top of mind so that you don't get cheated on and your database doesn't forget about what you do and that you're still present. It's just top of mind awareness, pretty much.
Yeah. And it goes into so many different ways to use video. So you're like, hey, like, I don't use video to sell my stuff. I use video to remind it exists. There's certain types of videos I have that are like sales videos and pitches, but 90% of content that people create are not going to follow that format.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's more for people taking that next step of the funnel of, let me go check out what services Mike provides, right? With Real Estate Marketing Dude, go to your website, and then you have, hey, here's how we can help you. I was kind of peeking around your site before we jumped on the call, and you do spell out, this is exactly what we do. This is the value we provide. We provide these time savings for you, so you don't have to do all that work, right?
Yes, exactly. Think of it as like, I have a podcast, you have a podcast. My podcast doesn't sell my stuff. It adds value to the audiences. It comes out every Saturday for the last few years, like 4 or 5 years, however long it's been. But if that podcast doesn't come out, I miss a week, and that I lose demos that week. Right. Yeah. So I have to remain consistent with the podcast. So marketing is my podcast. Now, people who click on my website, maybe you guys will click on my website after this podcast, great. Then you'll start seeing my sales videos because they'll be retargeting you around the internet. But I'm not
Exactly.
leading. I'm not like saying, hey, Chris, let's get married before we date. No, I'm just saying, hey, I create content to get on your radar. And then when I am trying to sell you something, it's after it's earned.
Exactly. After it's earned. The phrase that I heard on another show recently was lead with value, or even results in advanced. If you can give someone results or share that nugget where they're like, man, Mike gave that to me for free. Like I already see the improvement in my life or in my business. Or you shared a framework where they could make a 30-second video and post it and they got a sale, like a $10,000 commission off of that. They would be like, wow, the reciprocity loop is opened, at which point they'd say, how can I give back to Mike and Chris for what they've given to me in advance without even selling anything? They kind of opt in instead of you having to push yourself onto them. It's more attraction marketing at that point.
100%. Yeah. I think that's not the vast majority of it is all going to be attraction.
Yeah.
Based. Very rarely do I see it's very rare to people like, oh, that one video led to, here's a good example. That one video created X amount of results. When you start doing it consistently, you're not going to know what video people come from or the big, you just know it's a combination in a accumulation of all the content you're creating over time that build your brand.
Exactly. A lot of people think it's going to be a one and done, like a magical video that goes viral. I just made a post about this today. It's like stacking bricks on its own. A single episode seems like, oh man, that only got 500 downloads. What's going on? But over time, over years, I think you said 5+ years, however long you've been doing this, for myself as well, I think it's been around the same amount of time. It starts to stack and compound. And just looking at our own habits, I'm not sure if you do this, but sometimes I come across a new podcast. I love it. And I'm like listening to 2 hours a day as I'm working out, walking the dog, anytime that they're doing dishes, I've got their podcast on. And then eventually I take action. I'm like, I've heard this pitch a couple times or what they do. I've gotten so much value off the free stuff. Let me check out their website. And that's how it usually works.
100%. Now apply that to real estate. Sometimes value could be making someone chuckle throughout the workday.
Right.
It doesn't always have to be of like business, and it doesn't always have to be a monetary gain.
Yeah.
Value could just be as little as making someone smile that day.
That's a good point.
So like I focus more on entertainment than I do on education many times for that reason. And again, just in real estate space, it just depends on what you're doing video for. Mm-hmm. And most times, at least in the way that we're doing it with agents, it's just to remain top of mind.
Exactly. And we talked about that on your show too, that like, I don't even talk about real estate on my show very much. It's more mindset, productivity, marketing. I occasionally sprinkle in, by the way, if you need help buying or selling, I can help you anywhere. I'm talking to an agent in Mexico to hopefully find someone to sell a house out there this afternoon after we get off this call. But that's an example of how no one cares that I'm in real estate really until they know how much I care type thing. And then they realize, put 2 and 2 together. Okay, maybe Chris can help me. Maybe Mike can help me. Let me reach out. And what would you say about the quality of leads, like attraction versus push marketing, where you're trying to get someone to do something versus them coming to you? Like, do you have any statistics or data on that?
There are no leads, they're clients. So
clients,
leads don't reach out to you, clients do.
I love that.
So like attraction, like 70, I forget who was I was on, I had on my show someone, I think it was like an SEO website gal or something, but she said 70% of the people have already visited your site before they reach out and contact you.
Wow.
So think about that as like, if you don't have content up on your site, well, do people still reach out and contact you? I don't know. That's what I mean by track. It's hard to track. You're not going to be able to track it. But like what I do know is that every page on my site has a video on it, and it's there to, it's just there to get a human side on the, put a face to the name 9 times out of 10. Like I'm convinced that like, especially like on real estate agent sites, like no one even cares what the hell the content is anymore.
They don't.
It's just like, if you have a video of you with your kid there, I just see that you're human and that you care and that you're a good person. And that's all I need, to have the conversation started. And we overthink that. Like, don't overthink it, you guys. Like, be human.
Yeah.
There's still a human element to business. There's a huge human element, and video allows us to do that and be that. So we don't have to overthink it most times. And people well overthink it.
Right. And then you hear the quote that says people buy on emotion and justify with logic. So going off your point of the video with your kids or just with the family, people love to see that, oh, you're relatable, you're similar, I got a dog like that too, or whatever. And then they see the supporting information as they dig into your site of, okay, so you are competent, you do have 3 listings for sale, or whatever the case may be. So they'll back it up with, this isn't your first transaction, you've done this for some time and you're active. But they also don't want to just see 3 tips for spring on maintaining your lawn. Like, that stuff gets super old and recycled over time.
Totally. Exactly. And that's when you're just going back to the sales mode.
Yeah.
And it gets very stale after a while. And honestly, you run out of stuff to say. Like, what can you talk about? Like, you can't talk. There's no longevity to that, which is why you can never base a video marketing strategy around a sales message. It needs to be based around your personal brand.
100%. So with your clients that you help, do you help them craft like the storyboard, what they're going to talk about, everything? Because I think that's something that, well, I know that it is, I've struggled with too. Like, hey, here's a house, 3-bed, 2-bath in whatever city, come and see it. Like, that's pretty much the pitch for every house. It's very hard to sell something that's kind of like cookie cutter in a neighborhood of, I don't know, it's like the 1-2 houses down that just sold last month, come see it. How do you advise your clients who reach out to differentiate themselves and sprinkle their personality into their videos?
It's a snapshot on what they're doing on the weekend. So let's just say that the video is, let's just say it is a listing. If I'm a dad, I'm probably talking about the schools.
Okay.
And how far those are. And here's a good way to look at it. When I was in Chicago, still practicing in my single days, I could do a neighborhood tour, and I'm probably talking about where the swanky restaurants are at, where the hot chicks hang out, where all the single people are at. But today, that very same neighborhood tour in the exact same neighborhoods, talking about the schools, the kid-friendly restaurants, and the parks. So it's not that the script changes; it's what you would cover, and it will, based upon the personal brand. That's why you have to be creating stuff that you're comfortable with. So we'll give a couple examples so people understand. If you're a parent, you're going to talk about, let's just do a neighborhood tour for the time being. I'm doing a neighborhood tour of a downtown area. Well, if I'm a parent, I'm probably focusing on a couple really good kid-friendly recommendation restaurants.
Yeah. Right.
That would make sense. But if I'm on the other side, if I'm not necessarily a parent, but let's just say I'm a sportaholic dude and I'm just a total sporto. Well, I'm going to mention, you got to check out the sports bar down the street there. Or I'm going to mention, hey, the Padres are only X amount of ways. So you'll cover stuff naturally that is natural to you. And your personal brand will come out naturally by the content you create within the community.
Yeah. And of course, it'll change throughout the stages of your life, depending on where you're at. Because if you're married with kids, hopefully you're not like, hey, this is a great singles bar with a bunch of hot chicks. I don't think the wife or the spouse wouldn't be too happy about that, most likely.
Which means you just create stuff. You turn on the video camera, then that's the whole point, is that you're not recreating a persona. You're just turning the camera on where you're already at.
Being yourself. Yeah. And that's something that I've heard too, is just like document who you already are. You can just flip the camera on, put on Facebook Live and say, hey, this is the neighborhood I'm walking through. That street's where I grew up. Look how much it's changed. This is getting built on this intersection, and sprinkling in your own personality, I think, is something that a lot of people struggle with, because they're trying to maybe be someone they're not, right? They're getting all fancy, wearing clothes that they don't wear. I think it's been very important for me just to be in a t-shirt and be like, look, this is what I'm wearing. I'm not coming to show up in a suit to your house, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be me. And if you don't like that, go find the person who's wearing the suit and the tie that drives the BMW that you want to see, right?
Well, like, you could have me dress up as a bagel and I'm going to feel like an idiot. Right. Unless I was really a bagel and I love bagels and I'm feel like at home, right? So it's the same thing.
Yeah. And you're going to be uncomfortable if you're trying to make content outside of your comfort zone or outside of what you really are.
I would actually like dressing up as a bagel, though. That would be pretty good.
I'm just thinking of the people on the street corner, like dancing as a bagel or whatever sign that they're holding.
Yes.
Statue of Liberty or something.
Dude, like, you could if I did a neighborhood tour as a bagel,
that probably would get some hits.
It would do a lot better than me doing a neighborhood tour as a regular person.
That's so true. I mean, a lot of times things go viral. I think I remember seeing some agent on like one of those Instagram pages had done like a nude listing photo shoot.
Oh, yeah,
he had it blurred out. I think he got kicked out of his brokerage, but he obviously got picked up by someone else, because I'm sure that thing freaking sold. Everyone was sharing it.
It was like a multi-million-dollar, like it's in LA or something, like in the West Coast.
He's like sitting in the chair, just like naked, smoking a cigar or something. And
he had his legs crossed. And there's another gal that did, I think it was Erica Wolf in Florida. but she dressed up in a peach dress, like, so it was like the color of her skin, and it was just faded out. So it looked like she was showing the house butt naked the entire time. But then at the very end, she's like, "What are you guys are weird." And then she takes the filter off, and you just see she's just like in a skin colored dress, and it's like, that was it. But It's clever. But it shows you it's attention, guys. We're not trying to. No one cares about what's coming out of your mouth. They don't remember it. They remember how it's coming out and how you're doing it. It's not the what, it's the how.
Exactly. And that was something that I wrote down that I saw on your website. You said, we teach you how to generate the attention of your database, where over 85% of business comes from, right? So the attention is what matters, not really necessarily the words out of your mouth. Because if, like you said, with your friend, when you went home and you were so sad that one day when you're 22, your friend forgot that you were in real estate and went to some hot chick or whatever. If you had the attention, if you made that funny video or had that viral listing, he would have come to you most likely, because you would have been top
totally.
Mind.
Yeah, a lot less. And he wants to send me business. Like, he didn't mean to do that.
Right.
No, and
it happens all the time.
Everybody wants, like, people are like, "Oh, don't ask for business. Don't ask for business." Well, you don't have to ask, but you do need to remind, because if you don't ask, you'll never get.
Right.
And you can't get upset at people not remembering what it is that you do for a living. What you could get upset is about yourself. Get upset at yourself and wonder why they did it. And it's not their job to remember, but it is your job to remind.
Exactly. Just had this conversation with a loan officer friend. And a lot of times we feel like we're being annoying and we're saying it too much, because to us, like, we're saying it every day. Mm-hmm. But so many people are busy with their own lives. They don't remember off the top of their head what you do, because they got their own family, their own school, their own priorities, whatever they're doing in their lives, right? Like, you're not the center of their universe. So I love the fact that you're like, none of us are that interesting. People don't really care. They only care like when they have something they need or something that interests them, or even just gives them a laugh throughout the day. We're all kind of selfish, beings. We're looking out for numero uno usually. So whenever they need something that you can offer and they see your video at that right moment, that's when they're more likely to engage and reach out.
Totally. It's like 88% of people close with the first person they meet with.
That's crazy. I've heard that stat.
So what's the name of the game? Like, I want to be the first person people meet with. Well, how do you become the first person people meet with? Well, become the first person people think of. How do I become the first person people think of? Well, start creating a bunch of noise and banging the drum. What do you mean?
Exactly.
This isn't rocket science. Yeah.
Helpful, just like helpful, attractive marketing.
Yes.
That's the name of the game. It's just like logical steps, but I mean, common sense doesn't seem so common to most people, because they're still struggling with making weird posts about open houses and like there are templates in Canva that are all cookie cutter, and they're like, no one cares about this. It's going to have 2 likes. No one's going to share it.
Well, here's why, is because everyone wants to conform. There's a lot of safety in that.
True.
Like, think about it. Like, people are like, you don't have to, like, you have 2 options every day when you wake up. And you could do stuff the normal way, or the way you're supposed to, or you do it your way.
Right.
And like, the way you're supposed to is the one that never gets noticed.
Right. Because it doesn't stand out. It just blends in with the noise or with the crowd.
Well, here's the beauty in the, it's not that hard to get noticed or stand out, especially in such a stuffy business.
Yeah, it's super stuffy. I think that's another reason people are so afraid, because like the compliance and, a National Association of Realtors says that you should do this, or I don't want to get arrested or my license suspended or fined. There's a lot of regulations, and it's just kind of like a icky territory for many, where they don't want to step outside of the box. Right.
Mediocre has a place for everyone, man.
It's true.
That's exactly the point, because there's very few people who will, and the ones who always do are the ones who are always the trendsetters and the pioneers.
Right. Or like the Ryan Serhants of the world. I mean, just see what he's done for himself with content and videos and tours, and just the white hair. I don't really know much about it. I haven't watched the shows or anything like that, because I'm usually focusing on my own content creation. But from what it appears is just creating a personality, staying consistent, putting yourself out there, jumping up on the kitchen counters and like on your listing pictures, right? It's different. And it gets noticed.
Well, speak of that, like, look at what Frederick does in when he does the jump. That's like his little trademark, and he's got the little, when he gets all excited, and that's what people love about the guy.
Yeah, very good.
That's what they remember about him, because everyone has that personality. Everyone has a personality.
Exactly.
And that's the goal of the video. Bring it out.
100%. Do you have like a video marketer that you're most inspired by, just from their ads or something?
Not really, to be honest with you. Person I follow most is Jesus. The one I follow second is probably Brian Stewman.
Okay. Yeah.
So
you said Ryan, right?
Yeah,
the hardcore
Ryan,
closer. Yeah.
yeah, Ryan Stewman. I like his content a lot, but I don't really follow a lot. Like I don't
Cool.
follow. I don't have a lot of people I'm like follow around and all that other crap.
Yeah, I was just curious because the one guy who really comes to mind, I've seen a lot of his ads before. I had him on the show before, Billy Genius Marketing.
Yeah.
He'll have a couple of funny things. It's been a while since I've seen one of those like 5-minute videos of like Wolf of Wall Street style, very highly produced. I mean, I found myself laughing quite a bit and just like, wow, that took a lot of time and effort probably to like create this video. But it was so memorable. And I mean, I shared it. I'm sure other people shared it, and it had more of that virality effect.
Well, his whole thing is like boring will put you out of business. So it's like he'll just say, hey, you got to create entertainment content. I'm all about that. Yeah. You don't have to like make people die laughing though at the same time, because some people they're like, I'm not funny. I can't pull that off. So you don't think you have to. Entertainment doesn't have to always involve people laughing. Like you could entertain someone by telling them about the new restaurant in their neighborhood.
Exactly. And of course it's about being in alignment. Like if you don't even really crack jokes, if you don't think yourself to be a funny person, I mean, yeah, you could go to improv school or something, but that may require a little bit more of a stretch versus just being yourself, maybe having that like sarcastic humor, whatever it is for whoever's listening right now. Just really make sure to put your own personality into everything you do, because it's also going to be more authentic, right? There's nothing weirder than jumping on that first call with someone who's interested and you don't sound like you did in the content that attracted them. I feel like that would be really hard to do because you'd have to be faking it all the time. And then it wouldn't really work because a person would be like, you don't seem like the person I watched all the videos about. It has to be the same thing.
It won't. Never will.
Exactly. So what's some other tips that you recommend for people looking to get into video and just getting started? I mean, anything I'm missing?
No, you gotta start somewhere. I mean, whether you're real estate or loan officers, I don't know who the whole audience is on this show, but you went to your first listing presentation. Like Chris, you bought your first investment deal. You're probably nervous on that deal.
Right.
And it's anytime you do anything for the first time, of course, it's going to be like a little, I don't know if we would say nerve wracking, but you're not going to be, it's new. Like the first time I drove a car, I was like, whoa, this is weird. Like, doesn't mean I'd stop driving. Like you'll get better at it. But my only tip of advice is you got to start somewhere, and it's no longer optional. So get on video. Like, I don't know what else to tell you guys. It's nothing I can, it's not, but regardless of what I tell anyone isn't going to make them get on or off video. What's really going to make them actually do it is figuring out, whoa, I could actually see myself doing this. And that's the problem most people have. It's not about, everyone needs to know they need to get on video now, but they just don't know how to do it for them. That is right.
Yeah. And a lot of times they let analysis paralysis stop them, right? They're so worried about making that first perfect video that they don't realize you have to actually make 200 videos to get that perfect video.
I've had about 4 or 5 people in the past couple of weeks, all mortgage brokers. And when people will come in and they'll do like a demo with me, and they'll be like, oh, well, this one mortgage broker's got a great YouTube channel. And in every single case, because they all want to talk about mortgage. Like all these mortgage guys want to just talk about loans and mortgages and great content. And I'm just like, dude, it's not going to work. Like no one's going to watch that shit on YouTube. It's too damn boring. Like, well, this guy did it. I'm like, he's been doing it for 5 years.
He's got 600 videos.
600 videos. Of course. And he got in before anyone else did. Like just creating the mortgage content, it's not going to work. Like it's just crazy.
Right. And people don't, I guess a lot of people are just speculating and talking about the ideas and the theory behind it. A lot of times it's just get in there, get your hands dirty, start going, start recording video. You mentioned video is no longer optional. It's kind of like a requirement, right? Everyone's got video. If you don't, you're the one sticking out in terms of, and not in a good way either. It's kind of like the new baseline, almost like everyone having a undergrad college degree. Like no one cares anymore. It's like, get your MBA or whatever for a corporate job, right? It's getting crazier.
I like Elon Musk's recent meme. He goes, I never went to grad school, but the people working for me did.
Yeah. Exactly.
so good.
It's like, I don't have to, I'll just hire the smart people who could do it for me. That's so intelligent. And that's just like a tip for all entrepreneurs in general. Like you don't have to know it all, just hire the people who can do it for you. And like, that's what the services that you offer for your clients. You find people who don't want to do all that stuff. You help them kind of script, storyboard, film edit, all of that, publish too, right? You help with all of those services, like done for you and done with you.
Script, edit, and distribute.
Okay, awesome. And that alone, I mean, that takes time. Someone just messaged me the other day, like, hey, how do you create so much content? Like, do you have someone doing that for you? And I was like, I need to do that, like find someone, because that is the one thing I haven't given my passwords away for social media or anything to my
Sure.
VAs. But it's like, no, dude, I still sit there and I'm like, all right, let me come out with a caption. Let me post it here. Let me share it to my stories. And it takes quite a bit of time, right? So I
Yes.
think that's why so many people don't do it, because they're like, I'd rather go to an open house, or my time is better spent going to this networking event than sitting here editing this video and posting it on all my platforms.
Yeah. I mean, but is it? Like,
Right.
think about what you're doing with the
But
time.
is
Like,
it
is it
exactly?
like
That's the
that's the,
existential question. That's like paradigm shift for
well,
people.
a lot of, maybe it was easier and I don't know, but when I first like graduated college, it was like 2002. So I went right into real estate. It's all I've ever done. But back then it was more of a sales like business. I remember just getting my first list of leads and just cold calling. And that was more normal
That was it. Yeah.
back then, right? Like, and you would get used to that stuff. But either way, our brains were still trained to reserve and time management prospecting hours
Yeah.
and set aside a set amount of
3
time
hours or
each
whatever.
month. Yeah, to prospect. So nothing's changed, but that, like how we spend that time. So I always just look at it, instead of me picking up the phone and banging my head about against a drum or sitting in an open house, why don't I just spend that 2 or 3 hours doing a
Creating
video?
content.
Yeah,
Yeah.
creating content.
Plus the scale, the longevity, a video that we make today can get views 3 years from now, 5 years from now, and someone can watch it, come into our ecosystem, jump on our email list, versus cold calling. I've had this argument with so many people too, even like a new broker I was potentially going to join in Colorado. And I was like, I'm not doing open houses. I know it's part of your training, but like not going to do it, because I'd rather do the videos. Because if we're doing cold calling, open houses, even like a single networking event, you only get the effects for that immediate time there, those networks, the connections. You can make some valuable connections, but a video that gets 2,000 views over the next year, even only 2,000 views, think about talking to 2,000 people. That's going to
Yes.
take a hell of a lot more time than just making that one video that does it for you.
Yep. And some videos will do good and some will do horrible.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you stop. Your first 5 might be horrible. Who cares?
Exactly. And even if, I mean, perfect point. I had a call on last Saturday. It was only one person. I was trying to promote it and get like 15 people in there to look at this free training. One random person signed up and I'm like, man, I kind of want to cancel it. And I talked to him about what I can help him with, what I offer, told him about my paid options. And like 20 minutes later, Stripe sale came through for like the full thing that I'm doing in a couple of weeks. And I'm like, that's a perfect example how one person actually can make a difference. A lot of times we discredit it. We're like, oh, it only got 5 views. It only got 10 views. That's 10 people. I mean, what in real estate, right? Transactions worth $10,000, $15,000 or more.
Yes.
What's one transaction worth, right? So for everyone listening, make sure not to discredit it, even if you're not getting those views at first. I mean, you don't need to have 300,000 views on a video to grow a successful business.
Nope, you don't. You only need that one. But regardless how they come, like some videos will get lots, some won't get any.
Yep.
And you just keep going. You just keep going. Like there's nothing, you don't think about it. You just start over and go back to drawing board.
Exactly. In terms of the content or the quantity of content, do you give your people like homework on, hey, I want you to make a video every week or like 2 times a week? Is there a cadence that they follow?
Most people, at least the way we're doing it, because of how we distribute, they only need 2 videos a month. If that, it just depends on what they're trying to do because of how you distribute. You could run ads. Everyone always says, hey, I need more content, Mike. I'm like, why would you create 4 shitty videos instead of 1 good one? I'd rather have 1 good one I run ads to every 30 days than to do 4 shitty ones. So it's about the impact it makes. So with like Facebook ads, and we're just branding, guys, at least the way I'm talking about it right now.
Yeah.
It's not that hard to put that one video you do in front of your list of 300 people, because it's not like you're trying to reach 3,000. Even most times, most people only know a few hundred people. So it's not about trying to, get thousands of views as is trying to get that core 250, that core 400 or 500 people to see it. Cause that's what really matters.
Yeah. That's a really great way of doing it. Cause, I think I had heard on one of your podcasts how you had taken a little bit of a break because you were getting a little burnt out. And I'm like, man, I feel like that year 4, year 5 is that area where a lot of podcasters are like, damn, I feel like I'm on a content treadmill. And a lot of times that forces us to say, well, I'm trying to release 2 a week or 3 a week or whatever. So you start to make shittier videos just to meet that quota. But I love what you're saying here is that one good video with ads to share with your entire, 300-400 people that really are your core clients, your previous customers or clients, that is a lot more effective than just filling in content for the sake of doing so.
Yep.
So it kind of gives people permission, make that perfect, like make that better video, not perfect, because I don't want anyone to get stuck on, it's not perfect. This is not, it could be better. The lighting could be better. Make it really good as you can with your current skill set. And then you can just drive traffic to that to kind of feed that into a larger pool of people instead of just trying to do all these little one-off videos.
I've tried it, dude. I'm going to do 12 videos for real estate marketing, dude, this month. And then I'll get 0 traction. So it's not more content.
Right.
It's more impact.
I love that.
I'm much better doing one funny video a month than I am doing 4 or 5 education videos.
So true. So it's going to be different for everyone, right? People kind of run at different paces, have different priorities. So for those who are just starting, maybe even just that first one video a month, like you're starting to create content from nothing. And then you can go all the way up to like the Gary Vee on the other end, who's got like his team making 50 pieces of content a day because he's got a whole team doing it. Right. Yeah. And so he's repurposing content, long form, TikToks, whatever. But if we can just start with even one, because I think a lot of times people get stuck. They make too many, right? I'm going to go from, it's like, I'm going to lose 30 pounds that I've never worked out in my life in like the next month. Good luck. Like that's kind of, you don't know what to eat. You're not sure how to work out. You haven't been working out for years. Same thing with going from, I've never made a video to I'm going to make 3 videos a week for an entire year. It's
people will tune them out. Yeah. It's because it's the same. They keep seeing the same thing. I have a guy that does that. I go, it's not more content and doesn't want to listen to me, but you could even see like the views are going down and each video is going down because it's just getting watered down. The quality's gone down. So it's not always about quantity as much as it is about the quality. I would say It's always about the quality, not the quantity.
I agree. And what I've also seen is just sometimes the quality is reached through enough of the quantity because that's like putting in the reps. So your best video you do now isn't going to be as good as your best video you do 500 videos from now, but do the best with the skill set you have. And that's going to continue to, hopefully, if you're learning from your mistakes, it'll continue to improve over time, right?
Yep, totally. Exactly right.
Awesome. Really good stuff. So anything we're missing, like any calls to action for the audience, any way you can help? I'd love to hear just anyone at all. I mean, I know you said you guys focus on like realtors, loan officers. I wrote it down: recruiters, lenders, investors, brokerages. Is there anyone else you're serving currently, or are those your main focus?
It's anyone that's referral based. It's the same concept. I just say we bring on like insurance people, and it's any small referral based business. Yeah. But we're just in the real estate industry. So that's what most of our clientele is in there.
Perfect. And I'm curious, just for your model, do you get people to send you the videos, like tell them what to film? You kind of help craft it over Zoom calls? Because I'm assuming you're helping clients all over the place. Are you telling them to submit the videos to you once they record it and you can chop it up, slice and dice it, add any fancy stuff to it? Is that kind of like some of what
easier than that? We'll direct them. We'll be in the room with them. And we hold their hand, tell them what to say. And then we do that with them as much as they want us to.
Okay.
Yeah. Some people will direct every one of their videos. Some people don't want us to, but we either in the room with them if they're shooting in studios, or we're showing them how to shoot outdoors. And then, still send in the footage, and then we'll take it all over from there.
Cool. How long does a typical average session go? Is it like a 4-hour time block? Hey, let's just knock out all these videos in one go?
You can. No, you can. Depends. Like if someone's shooting in a studio setting, they're going to shoot at least 2 to 3 in that 75-minute time frame.
Okay.
But if you're shooting outdoor videos, you're never going to be shooting more than 1 a day.
Right.
Usually if you're doing like a neighborhood tour or business interview or something on site, you're probably going to do that one video that day. Everyone does a little bit of both.
Okay. That makes sense. Cause you're like, well, I think I saw one of your tips in one of your videos of like a quick tip for everyone listening is you could be doing a video and then you just change directions and you can make a second video with like the other side.
Yes.
That was a really cool nugget that I caught where I'm like, dang, you can make 2 videos from the same spot that look like 2 different locations without even having to move.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of ways to do that. It's being consistent as time management is just as important.
Exactly. And again, you're going to pick up those tricks. Like I assume you kind of picked up that trick by happen chance from doing it enough where you're like, what if we just turned around and made the video that way? Right.
Yes, exactly. Yep. And you get better. Your shoot time goes down as you do more.
Exactly. Well, really good stuff, Mike. I've really enjoyed our conversation. Lots of great nuggets. Where can our audience go to learn more, to connect with you, and just to possibly hire you?
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. And thank you guys for listening. Sure. You guys could visit us at our website, realestatemarketingdude.com. Realestatemarketingdude.com. There's a ton of content on there. You can check out our services and whatnot, but visit the blog, check out the podcast. And whether it's with me or somebody else, just do it. You got to do it. It's not an option anymore. You got to get out there. If you're not doing it, someone else is. Put it that way. That should be your motivation. Someone else is marketing your database right now. And if it's not another agent, their name's Open Door, OfferPad.
They're doing it for sure. And they're advertising discounts on the commission too.
Easy Knock, Zillow. Yes. So it's not optional, guys. You got to do it.
Yeah. It's becoming a requirement to stay relevant, right? Otherwise you're not going to be here in a couple of years.
The only way we battle back is through our personal brand, the relationship we have with the individuals.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that will be able to compete against their unlimited amount of ad spend that they have.
100%. Because people at the end of the day do business with people, right? So it's kind of like people versus the faceless corporations at this point, going all in on that personal brand and sprinkling in those like family videos and things like that.
That's exactly what it is. David versus Goliath.
Exactly. Well, Mike, it's been an awesome conversation. I'll drop everything in the show notes. And if you have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out anytime, and I'll be sure to share this as soon as it goes live.
Cool, man. Appreciate it.